5 or 6 years on the farms, and now they've done their time on these high country places, so they bring them down to this sale. And this is the first year we've had in 25 years it's been a wet sale. It doesn't rain that often this time of the year in this part of the country. Buyers from down country buy these ewes and take them on for another 1 or 2 years on easier country.
Bid is here. Sorry? $70. $70. 70 bid. $70. 72. 3. 73. We'll take 4. 5. Up they go. I'm going to put them on the market at 73. Put them on the market, thank you.
Younger sheep perform better up here and they grow more woolly. On the stations in the Mackenzie Basin, they're still farming the same breed of sheep. The Merinos have been here for 100 years ago. They're the traditional breed that thrive in this area. And they farm for their fine wool. They don't get shifted around a lot. They probably see a man 3 to 4 times a year. Today, I think we've got about 13,000 ewes in here, and last week we had about the same number of lambs. All these properties are very large because it's quite arable and hard farming. The Merinos thrive in that type of country. That's the kind of sheep that does well up here.
Small pockets of the Mackenzie are being transformed from tawny brown to lush green.
In the last 10 to 15 years, we've seen the introduction of irrigation. There's been the big push to get water here. We have seen dairy cows coming in and certainly seen a difference in the landscape there with the grass. And 20 years ago, those paddocks were virtually unproductive. Instead of running sheep to the acre, there'd be acre to the sheep there, and all of a sudden now those fellas have 2,000 to 3,000 cows each on those properties. That's what water's done and changed us.
Trevor and Gavin are approaching Aoraki Mount Cook National Park. Established in 1953, the park has 140 peaks above 2,000 meters and 72 named glaciers, all included in the Southern Alps, which stretch almost the entire length of the South Island. At the foot of the mountains is Mount Cook Village and Unwin Hut, a facility for climbers. The permanence of this landscape is an inspiration for the hut's current artist-in-residence, Dean Buchanan.
The paintings I do of the mountains, I've really tried to make them look like the deliberate place. If I paint a glacier, I really try and evoke that. It takes me back there. It's like reliving it. The landscape's been a thing with me for a long time, but the mountains are the bigger landscape, and the feeling you get from the climbing, it's a way to celebrate the climb.
Dean Buchanan's work portrays the environment he loves.
Mountains are the epitome of the landscape. The erosion, the grinding down to powder. I'm looking for drama, and I'm basically looking for composition. All of the Japanese manuals on painting talk about composition as the bones of the painting, and I'm trying to paint the bones of the land as well. I make a rough sketch of something that's really grabbing me on the summit. I'll just download it with a pencil onto paper, and it just pours out. The mountains have become a huge part of my life since 20, 30 years now. It's a way to live.
The dominating feature of the Tasman Valley is the Tasman Glacier, the longest in New Zealand. Commercial flights land on the snowpack at the head of the glacier, using a retractable ski system developed in 1955 by the founder of Mount Cook ski planes, Sir Harry Wigley. Many people landing on the glacier have never experienced a high alpine environment before, and the spectacular scenery is an inspiring experience. The Tasman Glacier dramatically illustrates the effects of climate change. Trevor has been monitoring the glacier for many years and has an interest in the rapid changes taking place.
Tasman Glacier is over 200 metres deep. The bottom of the glacier is below the surface of Lake Pukaki, it's so deep. And the ice is melting back very fast, because there's a massive climate change between 1890 and the present. And even though some glaciers might have advanced a wee bit for a couple of years, the whole place is warming, and we now have less ice in the Southern Alps of New Zealand than we had for the last 30 to 70,000 years. We have 53 odd cubic kilometres of ice in New Zealand, and that was measured in 1977, and we just recently remeasured it about 2008, and we've lost 5.4 cubic kilometres. 5 in 50 is quite a lot. Is climate change all right? Even if we get a whole cold period now, it can't recover this. This is what you would call a climatic tipping point, and we've passed it, and there's no stopping it.
In 1973, the glacier had no terminal lake. However, by 2008, meltwater had formed a lake 7 kilometers long, 2 kilometers wide, and 245 meters deep. The glacier has retreated an average of 180 meters annually since the 1990s. And in the last few years, annual retreat has accelerated to over 800 meters. At this rate, the Tasman Glacier will disappear within 20 years. This is significant because more than 3/4 of the world's fresh water is currently locked in glacial ice. If this ice melts, sea levels could rise dramatically, flooding coastal areas where much of the world's population lives. To enable Trevor to capture images of the lake, Gavin reduced altitude and is now circling against the peaks to regain height. And finally, the destination is in sight, the massif of Aoraki Mount Cook. The mountain was known to Maori centuries before the arrival of Europeans, and Aoraki is the name of a celebrated ancestor in the traditions of Ngāi Tahu, the major South Island tribe. Aoraki Mount Cook has always attracted those who love the mountains, including alpine pilots and mountaineers. Aoraki Mount Cook Park offers mountaineers many challenging peaks. These climbers are attempting the east ridge of the Caroline Face. They commenced the long climb in the early morning dark, and depending on the weather and conditions, the ascent could take up to 16 hours. Attaining the summit of Aoraki Mount Cook requires strength, skill, stamina, and strong technique. Soaring in these mountains also requires great skill. And at this altitude, oxygen is mandatory. For Gavin Wills, there is no better place in the world.
Soaring above Mount Cook is an extraordinary experience because you're sitting there balanced on the stream of air coming up the side of the mountain. You've got no engine, there's no noise, it costs you nothing to be there. Mount Cook is a fantastic ridge to soar along. But from the top of Mount Cook, we can still glide 100 kilometres back to Amarama in a straight glide. Because you're beside the mountain, you can turn away and fly away from it.
The return flight to Amarama will take only minutes, traversing terrain reflecting the geological actions of millennia.